Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again. And on today's episode, I have a story that should put a smile on your face if you are having a bad day. Now, it sounds bad to begin with, but just hold on a minute. So, this one is titled, She Cheated and Her Daughter Took Her Side. But now, guys, she is homeless while her ex thrives. So, an absolutely hilarious story here of the typical modern woman deciding to cheat, despite the fact also that she has a family with this guy. And in the end, what happens? She becomes homeless. Now, the thing is, a lot of these women, they cheat, they screw around, they divorce their men, they leave, they abandon their families because they think that, well, it's fine because at the end of the rainbow, I'm going to get some money. Okay, I'm going to be able to get half of the dude's things. I'm going to be able to get child support, alimony, whatever. It depends where you live, right? But here's the funny thing. Sometimes, guys, it does not work out for the women. And sometimes they are forced to pay their own bills, and sometimes they can't, which of course is very, very funny. Now, guys, I will say this, okay? Being homeless, very unfortunate circumstance. However, do I feel sorry for the women who become homeless as a result of cheating? Certainly not. I think it's absolutely hilarious. So let's jump into this one. So this is actually a 50-year-old dude. So his marriage had lasted for 20 years, going stable, until he found out that his wife had been having an affair with a man half of his age. Instead of begging for forgiveness, he filed for divorce immediately. So this is an excellent story. I love these ones where the dudes, they just instantly divorce the woman, okay? I'm very sick of reading stories where the man will keep the woman around and she'll convince him to stay, and then the relationship is terrible for a few more years. I am a huge fan of just throwing out the woman immediately. I think that is the correct choice to make. So I'm glad he did it. Just divorce her ass instantly. Fantastic. So he says, thanks to a prenup, his wife walked away with almost nothing. His oldest daughter sided with her mother, refusing to acknowledge the betrayal. But while his ex-wife burned through her money, lost her home, and ended up homeless, he thrived, gaining financial security, peace, and the support of his other children. So this dude had multiple kids in the marriage, it seems. Now, I'll say this because a lot of dudes, they get really excited. They're like, well, you know, I can marry. All I need is a prenup. But prenups don't always hold up, okay? If you're relying on a prenup to protect everything you spent your entire life building, it is a bad idea. These things can be thrown out of court. A lot of women will try to have them thrown out of court. So I wouldn't recommend relying on a prenup. But this guy got away from the divorce without losing anything, it seems, which is absolutely hilarious because, of course, the woman was expecting to get something. So let's continue here. I don't know why this is legal, by the way. It's so crazy to me that this is even legal, that women can walk away with your crap, having not done anything to earn it. A lot of women will complain about unpaid labor, which is something I roasted in a previous episode. But let's continue into the next one. The next part here. So, for 2 decades, he worked hard to provide for his family. He had always believed that his marriage was strong, built on trust and commitment. That illusion shattered when he discovered that his wife had been having an affair with a man more than 20 years younger than her. I found out my wife was cheating with someone who was barely older than our kids. It was humiliating. At first, the dude didn't know how to react. It was overwhelming, and the thought of ending his marriage after so many years felt impossible. But after a few days of reflection, he made a decision that would change everything, and he filed for divorce immediately. This is a great move. I wish more men would do this, as much as it sucks to have to do this. It's kind of like, you know, ripping the band-aid off, I suppose is the expression. This just has to be done. You can't keep this woman around. If she decides to do this, she essentially signed the divorce herself. She essentially initiated the divorce. And this is something that I say on the channel a lot, guys, but if you actually look at the divorce statistics, usually it's the women who are divorcing the men, right? I believe it's something like 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women. And then I think it goes as high as 90% if the woman is college educated. And I've always made the point that even in the cases where the man initiates the divorce, a lot of the time he doesn't even want to, right? It was forced upon him, right? Whether that be because the woman cheated or because she did something incredibly terrible. A lot of guys will tend to stick it out through thick and thin, right? As the vows go. But sometimes, you know, the dudes are just forced into an impossible situation and they just have to divorce the woman. So he says, I realized there was nothing left to save. I could never trust her again. She had made her choice and now she had to live with it. True. Let's check out this prenup thing. When they first got married, his wife's family had insisted on a prenup. At the time, it was meant to protect her wealth since they came from money and he didn't. I signed it without hesitation. I had nothing to lose. I love, by the way, look at this. So this is interesting because the prenup wasn't actually put there to protect the man in this instance, which is usually not the case, because usually the reason why the prenups are there in the first place is to protect the dude and the woman from robbing the dude, essentially. But this was actually to protect the woman because she came from a wealthy family. I just love, by the way, how the dude signs this with no hesitation. I think the average woman would not sign this with no hesitation, right? There would be tears that come out. There would be a bunch of nonsense, which honestly just goes to show why she was there in the first place. To be honest, if you present a prenup to a woman and she starts like crying about it and causing issues, I think that tells you some very clear signs that maybe you shouldn't be proceeding with the marriage. I don't think the marriage should proceed anyway. I think marriages are a scam. But I just want to point out how when it comes to men, they typically don't have an issue signing this because men are not getting married to women for their resources usually. Do you know what I mean? Like dudes aren't like, oh yeah, she's a doctor, let me marry that. That's wife material right there. Men don't really care about the status or the money that women have, generally speaking. So years later, her family's fortune had disappeared due to bad investments and lawsuits. Oops. Suddenly, the prenup that was meant to protect her ended up protecting him instead. Because of the agreement, she couldn't claim alimony since their children were all adults. There was no child support either. The only asset they shared was the house, but she couldn't afford to keep it. She was completely blindsided, he said. She thought she would walk away with security, but she had absolutely nothing. This is the sad part. So this guy has 4 children, it says here. One of them, I think, sided with the mother, even though the mother cheated, which is insane. So let's take a listen. His 4 children had mixed reactions to the divorce. This absolutely sucks for the kids, by the way. It really does. His sons and youngest daughter accepted the reality of the situation. They understood that their mother had broken the family apart. His eldest daughter, however, refused to accept it. She kept saying, I owed it to the family to try and fix things. She acted like I was the one ruining everything. So this is the child, by the way, that has been brainwashed and gaslit by the mother into thinking that the man was the issue because he decided to walk away from this person who did this. And this is usually what the women will try and do when divorces are inevitable or they're going to leave your ass or whatever, is they'll try and convince people generally ahead of time that the man was the terrible person. This is reputation sabotaging. We as men, we're not very aware of things like this because we don't generally do it. It's not something we think about. But this is something that a lot of women do, right? When women go through divorces, breakups, and so on, you'll often notice that the man is painted to be a very, very bad person. If you're a dude and you've gone through a breakup or a divorce, you've probably been labeled as a very bad person before, even if you did nothing wrong. So that's kind of funny. So this daughter sounds like she's been brainwashed by the mother, it seems. She bought into the mother's nonsense. So at first he thought she was just struggling to process the situation, but then he discovered something much worse. She had known about the affair the entire time. Holy hell. My youngest daughter told me the truth. Christy didn't know about it. She just helped cover it up. Interesting. The betrayal hit just as hard as the wife's. Yeah, disown the daughter as well. See you later. The fact that the daughter knew and didn't say anything, disgusting, man. Absolutely. Like, no. You just rescind all of the provisioning that the father is providing should be immediately withdrawn, right? Like, I'm sorry, people will always try and defend this stuff like, oh, you should stay with your wife because even if your wife cheated on you, because you're supposed to, right? Or you're supposed to love someone and take care of them because they're family. And people don't factor into account when people betray you, which is just like, why would you keep these people around? No support for the child, no support for the wife. See you both later. It's unfortunate, but they made that decision themselves. He says, I was heartbroken. My own daughter had chosen to protect her mother even when she knew what she was doing was wrong. Despite everything, he still offered support through Christy emotionally, even offering to pay for therapy. She refused, continuing to pressure him to take his mother back. This guy, no, don't offer therapy to the daughter at all. Don't offer anything to either of these people. I don't know, you guys can call me mean, you guys can call me awful, but I think these people, as soon as they did this and the daughter was complicit in this, they withdrew all right to have the dude help you. And here's the thing. The man being supportive of both of these people, it wasn't a right anyway. It was a gift. Okay, and these women both threw it away. I don't know how old the daughter was again. I'm not sure. But I imagine because this dude's 50, you know, she's not a child, as far as I understand. So let's keep going here. After months of fighting, he made a difficult decision. He cut Christy out of his life. Excellent. His ex-wife had spent years as a stay-at-home mother. Would you look at that? Chilling, being a stay-at-home mother the whole time. She never built a career, never planned for financial independence, and always assumed she would be taken care of. But once the divorce was finalized, that really hit her hard. She had no income, no savings, and no plan. She thought I would keep paying for everything. She was wrong. Why on earth should the dude even be like, the fact that women think that men should continue paying for them is insane. You know, like, are women going to continue cooking when they're no longer in the relationship with you? Are they going to continue cleaning the house or the bedroom intimacy or, you know, any of these things? Like, I just love how men are expected to continue to provide for women and do their quote unquote role. But I would sound clinically insane if I were to suggest that women continue to do their quote unquote role when the relationship ends. Just by the way, I don't think either gender should be doing, as soon as the relationship or the marriage ends, nobody should have any obligations to the other person whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, he shouldn't be paying her bills. She shouldn't be cooking and cleaning. I don't understand this. It's really stupid. She couldn't afford to keep the house. She had no way to pay for rent. Hilarious. Her affair partner wasn't interested in supporting her either. Shocker. Within months, she had burned through her savings and was completely out of options. She went from living comfortably to having nothing. She was bouncing between friends' couches and relying on family just to get by. Even Christy, who had taken her mother's side so fiercely, started to regret it. Yeah, probably because she was also receiving no support from the father. Meanwhile, he was doing better than ever. While his ex-wife was struggling to find a place to stay, he was thriving. He had kept the house, remained financially stable, and was finally free of all the drama that had consumed his marriage. For the first time in years, I wasn't stressed, he said. I realized I had been unhappy for a long time, but now I felt free. His other children had also started to distance themselves from their mother. They saw how manipulative she had been and how much their father had sacrificed. Christy, however, continued to hold out until she realized her mother had nothing left to give her. Hilarious. So Christy came crawling back. Months after the divorce, Christy finally reached out. She wanted to meet for coffee. Oh, hell no. She apologized, regretted everything, missed their relationship, and then she asked for money. She told me she was struggling, that she needed help paying rent, and that's when I knew she didn't actually regret what she did. She just wanted my help. For years, he had been the one people relied on, the provider, the fixer, the one who kept everything together. But this time he said no. She made her choice. Now she had to live with it. Hilarious stuff. Absolutely hilarious. So yet another story where the woman walks away from the relationship. Excuse me, she didn't walk away from the relationship. The man did. But where the woman cheats, completely screws up the marriage, completely screws up the relationship and the lives of her children. And then essentially becomes, you know, homeless and has to beg for the dude back. Very, very funny stuff. But guys, we are going to be leaving today's episode there. Do not forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.